On the Blend this morning, we're joined by Tracy Wimmer, who is with Consumers Energy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's talk about some scams that Consumers Energy has been seeing that aren't related to Consumers Energy in a sense.
Yeah. So unfortunately, utility scammers are really common. We see them most often, they'll try and call, right? And they'll immediately say, like, if you don't pay us right now, we're going to shut off your power. And right there, that's a scam because we would never do that. Anytime that is a possibility, we contact the person multiple times, and it's usually after a history of several months. But unfortunately, after the incident in Rochester Hills last month, where we saw two people who had their door knocked on, and they thought that DTE employees were there to do something, and those people came in and they were faking it. And unfortunately, the two people who lived in that home were killed. And so we see door-to-door scams often, but obviously this was a terrible, terrible tragedy that we want to make sure customers know how to prevent these sorts of things from happening to them and to feel safe knowing that there's lots of safeguards in place so that they can trust that our employees are really us.
So what do you do if somebody comes to the door and says they're with you?
Yeah.
And that maybe you're not really sure about the vibe. So what am I going to do?
Yeah. So I will say up front, 95% of the time, we're going to notify you in advance if somebody has to come to your door and do something. Okay. But there are some rare circumstances where, for example, if there was a gas leak a couple blocks over, you wouldn't realize that it had impacted you, but we need to come in and relight your pilot light. And that just happened this morning. There are situations like that where it will be unexpected. Okay. And so number one, you should always know we will always be in full Consumers Energy gear and we will always have our ID. And a real Consumers Energy employee will absolutely show it to you as soon as you ask. So if you don't feel comfortable at all, you should say, hey, can I see your Consumers Energy ID? And then you can call, we have a hotline. It's 800-760-3295. And you can verify the identity of the person who works for the company.
We'll put that number on the screen because I think that's really important to have on hand. So we can call that. If somebody comes to our house, we can say, hold out, call that number, and verify them.
Yeah. The Consumers Energy rep is not going to try to steamroll you out the door. They're like, here you go, check my bag. I'll wait in the van, right?
No, they're never going to try and force entry. They're never going to demand payment at the door.
Right.
And they're never going to threaten to cut off service for you.
Right.
So I think the number one thing is customers should always, if they don't feel safe at all, you should lock your doors immediately and call 911.
ConsumersEnergy.com or the telephone number 800-477-5050 on the screen to get more information on this segment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.